Hey flower friends, today we are going to go ahead and make the beautiful marigold. Perfect time for fall flowers. Okay, first thing you need to do is go to my website and snag the digital download for this flower so that we can go ahead and cut it. So right now I'm going to go ahead and show you cutting it on the Cricut, and this is just using the SVG file. I also have a PDF file on there if you want to go ahead and hand cut it out too, but I really have been enjoying using my Cricut. And look at all these super fun shapes, and I ended up cutting quite a bit out to make quite a few marigolds, but I'm just going to show you one today. All right, look at these beautiful flowers. Oh, and we have cute little hands coming to help me because they can never resist helping me out. And I am here for that and love my little helpers, especially when I have to work twice as slow, but that's okay. They're cute. I'll keep them. I'm going to use one 18 gauge wire, a small scrap of a 22 gauge wire, just a shorter one, and we're going to save that for the leaves later. I'm going to use some scrap green felt to do some leaves and like kind of a good little base on our flower. I'm using 2 small petals, 2 medium small petals, and then one a little bit larger petal, and then the last one's a little bit larger. So the 2 larger ones are a little bit bigger than the other ones. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to snip these in just a little bit more. And I know it seems a little much, but probably should have added that to the file, but sometimes you don't want to cut too much on those machines because it gets a little hard. So I'm going to just throw a little bit of glue right at the base of the petal and just pinch it shut. And honestly, the more I was doing it, the messier it was getting, and it's really not a big deal because really all of that gets covered up when we're finished making the flower. So you're really only going to see the outside petals and you're not going to see the messy glue inside. I mean, try to be clean, but don't beat yourself up if it's a little messy right there. Because trust me, my first few versions, it was super messy and I was not happy. But honestly, you cannot even tell in the final version. So you're going to work your way around the flower, and we're just going to go ahead and slowly add some glue to the bottom and then just pinch all of the flower petals. And literally, we're going to do this over and over and over again. You're going to use the exact same technique on every single one of these kind of like flower petal circle shapes. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these super fun, amazing new flowers that are coming out regularly. All right, so now the fun part. So we all know that marigolds are super fun and bright and colorful, and they have some crazy coloring on them. So for this one, I'm using permanent red pan pastels. I'm just grabbing my little sponge here and just throwing this on the very tips of each one of my petals. I like kind of doing this on the once the flower is shaped, and it just kind of, I don't know, it gives it a little bit more fun little flair, and you know, you can really get the dye in there. Now go look in nature, go find some photos of some real marigolds and dye them and paint them whatever color you want. And I've got a bunch of fun new colorways that I'm adding to my shop soon too, because I just went a little bit nuts looking up different colors of marigolds and dyeing them all the super fun different colors. So I'm just adding a little bit of red to each of the tips just to make it a little more and more like a marigold in nature. It just gives it so much prettiness. Loving it. All right, let's go ahead and get started on shaping some petals. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the 2 bottom layers. And so these are gonna be the petals that are the largest ones. And I'm just taking my hair straightener here and I'm just gonna twist and pull and shape them just to give them a little bit more flavor instead of just kind of being more flat and dull. And this is just gonna give them a lot more shape and character, and it's gonna make them really fluffy and full instead of just like flat and dull. So I'm going around and just kind of pulling and yanking and twisting, and that heat is really setting in those curls. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that starting with my 2 biggest ones, and be sure to keep all your petals in order so that way you know what order to put them in when you go to assemble. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get all these twisted and kind of crimped and just beautiful. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take one of our smallest little petals here. We're gonna throw some glue down in the middle and just kind of pinch it and make a little floofy piece. And this is gonna be that small little opening floofy part in the middle of your marigold. Yes, these are very technical flower terms that are floofy. Okay, so I'm gonna just snip off the bottom just to take away a little bit of bulk, and I'm just gonna literally glue this right into the center of our next one. And then again, this is the two smaller shapes, and that's gonna give us our nice little floofy center. All right, so for the next ones, I'm gonna go ahead and take the bottom. So this is the biggest petal right here, and I'm almost like pushing the bottom up because you kind of make a little bowl when you kind of pinch them all together. And what I did there is I pushed my finger up to make it invert itself, basically. And then that way it gives a lot of depth between those two layers. We're going back to the top layer and then throwing that down onto our next size, I don't know, the middle size there. And we're just gonna start layering these pieces together. I like to do it in 2 different batches just so that I can really control the shape and just not smush them, because you really want a full flower here. So now we're gonna add the 2 different sets of petals together. And oh my goodness, look how beautiful she is becoming. She's all coming together. All right, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and go back in and re-floof some petals that I just want a little bit more fluffier and twister, and just give it a little bit more depth and dynamic and more shape for my flower. And I'm gonna really push up on that center too, so that it just gives it a really full feeling to your flower. So now we're gonna go ahead and get our felt green scraps that we had, and we're gonna cut about a 2 by 2 inch square here. And I'm gonna cut a circle out of it, and then we're gonna put a little bit of fringe in it, and this will be the base of our flower here. It's easiest to just fold it in half and then cut little snips going, you know, maybe a 1/4 of an inch, a 1/2 inch down, but not going all the way to the center. And then that gives you even little quadrants to hand cut these different leaf shapes for underneath your flower. And I'm just literally taking at the middle and rolling it, and then I'm gonna go ahead and flip it and do the exact same thing, and this makes just really even little petals for your little leaf base. Ta-da! All right, now we're gonna go ahead and make a little table with our wire. You just wanna make a little table for your flower so that your flower is nice and secure on there. All right, we're gonna fish that through our little center here. And then now that's a perfect little seat for your flower to sit on. All right, we're gonna take our other scrap piece that was about 2 by 2 inches, and we're gonna roll it around the very top of the wire, and this is just gonna make it kind of like a bulky little stem, because marigolds have kind of a thicker base underneath them, and I just wanted to mirror that with the wire. Instead of just having a really thin wire, I wanted to kind of thicken it up. So I'm just rolling on some felt. Now we're gonna get a little bit more of our green felt, and we're gonna make 2 leaves just to kind of finish off this little base for our flower. So I'm just hand cutting the leaves. In the digital download, I definitely have a cut file for the leaves if you wanted to do it. Either way, no big deal. Sometimes I like hand cutting because I can go a little bit faster, but totally up to you. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these 2 leaf shapes. And again, they don't have to be perfect because once you put them on, you're not gonna tell. But I'm gonna add glue over the entire leaf. And I'm gonna kind of go almost all the way up, and we're gonna kind of cover this little base and just kind of close it off on the bottom, just so it looks like it's like a budding leaf kind of coming up here too. So I'm gonna do that. I'm just doing 2 of them, and I'm gonna do it on both sides of the little stem. Ta-da! Starting to come together. Almost done, guys. Super close. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and add our flower to our stem. So I'm just adding a bunch of glue to the top just to secure it on there really nice and well. And this is the delicate part. You wanna keep shape to your flower, but at the same time, you wanna make sure you're securing the flower really well to that, because you don't want it falling off. So I spent quite a bit of time just re-fluffing and making my flower perfect again. I got some heat back on it and just re-curled a few petals, and I just played until it was perfect the way I wanted it. All right, now we're gonna get our 22 gauge scrap wire here. It's about 2 inches long, and I'm gonna do a pinch leaf on both ends of it. This is just another leaf shape that I really like using. It's kind of like a little funky looking and a little wild for you. All right, so now I'm just gonna tightly twist it on, and I like to kind of spread the leaves out as far as I can just to make it look like they're not right next to each other. Twist it on as tight as you can and then fold those leaves up, and voila, isn't she beautiful? I love her, and she's ready to start decorating for fall. Thanks again for joining me on this super cute marigold flower video, and be sure to check back next time for all of our new flowers, and hit that like and notification bell so you don't miss anything.